Your freedom will be defined by how you perceive value or how you fail to perceive value. While you might think this is about negotiation, salary negotiations specifically, it's actually way bigger than that. Here's an excerpt from my interview on the Career Talks podcast with Orlando Haynes. The interview was streamed live on LinkedIn.
Practical tips or strategies that you found out that worked for you throughout your career growth. What were some of those resources, tools? Like you said, you could have Googled it back in 2006, but probably landed on an article. Where did you stumble upon your first this is how we should have been doing it back then?
Well, I think before I can probably give that tip, I probably have to say this one thing for anybody listening or watching. Your freedom will be defined by how you perceive value or how you fail to perceive value.
Oh.
And then your willingness to hold your value line. So while
you got to unpack that.
I promise you I will. While you might think this is about negotiation, salary negotiations specifically, it's actually way bigger than that. And that's what I've since 2006 to now, that's what I've worked through personally to negotiate salaries, and then helped others to work through to negotiate salaries. And I'm not talking like, oh, give me an extra $1,000, $5,000. I'm talking 20, 30, 40 extra on top of that offer, or sign-on bonuses, whatever that looks like, whatever that person desires. But number one, you have to understand what your freedom is. I didn't say my freedom. I didn't say Orlando's freedom. Your freedom will be defined by how you perceive value or fail to perceive value. And then how you hold the line on your value. And so the one thing that I always think about, and I think some people can relate, is I think one of the most valuable cars in the world is a Honda Accord. I think it's one of the most valuable cars in the world. Now, I've owned several in my lifetime. I've never bought one brand new, and I've owned several. I've helped other people negotiate to get ones that I felt like were perceived to be undervalued across the country. Friends, family, siblings, parents, you name it. Let's get that Honda Accord. And the reason I perceive that value is so high is because I think they can run forever. You still see 90 edition Honda Accords on the highway. You still see some from the early 2000s on the highway. I believe my nephew has an 06. My mom still has an 01. Perceived value, and no major maintenance other than brakes, tires, oil change consistently, and very great gas mileage. Now, I don't currently drive one, but I'm on the market always looking for one, but I don't currently drive one. So I'm going to put that disclaimer out there. But I'm sure somebody else would be like, well, I think this is the most valuable car.
Okay.
And you might have one that you think is the most valuable car on earth, but it's our perception based upon our experiences that ultimately lead to that freedom. Because I believe there's freedom in owning a Honda Accord. If you take care of it, if you maintain it, I think there's freedom in that. And so that's the first part of that perceived value. It's going to be unique to you, and you're going to have to quantify it based upon your experiences and what that might mean to you. Because what rich might mean to one person is going to be totally different for another. What a great salary is for one person may mean something totally different for the other person. So you have to really define what that is for you. Right? And if you don't define it, that other part, if you fail to define that perceived value, you will end up losing that freedom. Whether you realize that you had the opportunity to achieve freedom or not, you'll lose that freedom. So if you go buy a car, I don't want to name any cars that might not last on the highway, right? But if you go get that car and you trying to change out a transmission 2-3 years in, you missed out on the freedom of the perceived value. Because you went after something that you didn't have either have the experience, the knowledge, the tools, the resources. You didn't want to negotiate for that Honda Accord, whatever that might be. But you've got to be willing to understand that and perceive it for yourself, and then and avoid failing to perceive that value. And so if we run this back to who we are as individuals, this spreads across every area of our life, whether that's family, friends, spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, your kids, parents, friends. If you have hobbies, you play golf, whatever that might be, this translates to every area of life. How do you perceive value for the freedom that you want for your life? And you probably can jot down some things where you failed to perceive the value and you gave up an opportunity or you let something slide.
I've heard so many different answers, but how long should my resume be? Listen, a one-page resume is ideal for candidates with less than 10 years experience. Now, if you have more experience, a 2-page resume is absolutely acceptable. There's so many steps to creating a resume story that converts to getting your dream job. Sign up now for 5-Minute Career Hacks resume hacking services and let us help you right now. You even get a 1-hour consultation with our team.
The one that a lot of us can relate to, if we're of age and we've had a few relationships in our life, is when we didn't hold our value line in a relationship.
Oh.
And we compromised our standards, our boundaries, whatever that might be. We didn't hold our value line. We didn't even give the other person the chance to step up to that value line because we didn't hold ours.
Oh.
Right? And so this translates to every area of your life. So I know you came here for salary, negotiation tips and hacks, but with all the people that I've coached on this, it always comes back to their perception of their value. So when you think about what value really is, if you want to go to Merriam-Webster and get a definition, how we're talking about it today is what is seen or perceived to have worth, importance, usefulness, and it could also mean an estimate of monetary worth, right? That's how we're talking about value today, because there's like 8 different definitions, but that's how we're talking about it today. So how do you perceive your specific value is the challenge that as coaches we run into, is someone not valuing themselves outwardly. Let me make sure I'm saying outwardly the way they actually think about themselves inwardly. Because you're not coming to Jamila, Candace, Alicia, yourself. You're not coming to us saying, hey, I don't think I'm worth this.
Right.
That's not normally when you get to the point where you want a coach to help you with salary negotiation, it's because you think you're worth more than what you've been getting. But for some reason, that's not translating outwardly. And that's part of what, you're getting from the coach, but it always comes back to how you're managing, that value. Number one, making sure it's right on the inside and so that it expresses itself naturally and outwardly to others. They say you are, you attract who you are. So you're attracting the offers based upon what you're letting out and which the energy that you're giving off. So that I always like to start there because I think that's, I think it's so important versus just, the tactical stuff about salary negotiations, because there are some tactics. Don't get me wrong. They're heavy tactics, but it's tough to tell. If you told me at 46 years old, okay, Jamila, you're now playing for the New Orleans Saints and you're going to be the starting offensive lineman. And then I know he's recently retired, but then you see J.J. Watt lining up on the other side and you're telling me everything I'm supposed to do. But Jamila don't believe I can block against J.J. Watt. I don't think I can do that at 46. I don't think I could have done that at 20. So you can't line me up with all these tactics and schemes and all this other stuff if I don't believe I can do it. And I think that's where I would definitely start with. That's where I have to start with most people when they get to me, is because there's something on the inside that's missing. And we've got to fix that so that it shows up outwardly in their expression and their energy. I truly hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we enjoyed doing it for you. However, it doesn't have to end there. Come on over to our Facebook group community right now. You're going to get exclusive content that we weren't able to include in this episode as well as past episodes. We've got challenges, we've got research, we've got lives, you name it, all for you. in bite-sized chunks so that you can continue this development journey. Go ahead, click the link right now in the description show notes, and we'll see you there.